Good morning, folks. How's everybody doing? I hope you are doing well. Got your rabbit's foot and your four-leaf clover and all the other lucky charms one should carry on Monday, because as we all know, Monday is Mr. Murphy's Day. I thought today we would take a look at the case of the poor fella in Nebraska. Small business owner commits suicide after being railroaded with manslaughter for defending his bar from criminal rioters. Gardner was facing trumped-up charges. A Nebraska small business owner and Marine Corps vet has committed suicide after being charged with manslaughter stemming from an incident in which he fired a weapon on a violent criminal rioter who attacked him on camera. 38-year-old Jake-Gardner shot and killed Black Lives Matter rioter and 22-year-old James Scurlock, who attacked his father outside of Gardner's bar in Omaha, Nebraska in July. Okay, so 2 months ago. Yeah, August, September, 2 months ago. Gardner went on to brandish a gun at Scurlock and a riotous mob in response to their violent behavior, and the group of men attacked him. After firing 2 warning shots at the rioters as they attacked, mistake number one, when we took CCW, they said, no, because you're responsible for every bullet that comes out of your gun, and God forbid that hits somebody else. No warning shots. Then attacked and shoved him to the ground. Gardner shot Scurlock, who declined to relent in his violent behavior. If you've seen the video, and the video's been out forever, Scurlock is on his back trying to choke him out. Chokehold. And so Gardner takes the gun and goes, boom! And he winds up shooting him right here in the clavicle. There's an artery here, subclavian artery. Oh well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Both of these guys did everything wrong from the get-go. We got that, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. I don't think he's wrong in defending himself. I think the bigger problem here lies in anti-Semitism, if you will, allegedly. Eyewitness accounts of Gardner's interaction with Scurlock suggest it was a textbook case of self-defense. And there's a video. Now, this is coming out of Big League Politics. They're not the only one carrying the story. They are the ones carrying the video, though. Prosecutors who invested the incident originally declined to charge Gardner, recognizing that the case appeared to be a textbook example of self-defense. He was attacked. He was thrown to the ground. He tried to retreat. He brandished a weapon, letting them know that he was armed. He didn't even brandish. He did one of these. Showed him his gun. Tried to leave the scene. So he tried to de-escalate. He let them know he was armed. There's reports that he actually said, don't do this because I don't want to have to shoot you. Okay? Here's the rub. Why did they change it? Why did it go from a textbook example of self-defense, and to be perfectly honest, there's that kid who splashed all over the media and made headlines because he popped 3 of them, killing 2. Kyle Rittenhouse. But this happened earlier, and after this happened, measures should have been in place to make sure this never happens again, whether it's Nebraska or Wisconsin, or New York, or Portland, or anywhere within our jurisdiction of the Constitution. After leftist and Black Lives Matter activists placed intense pressure on Douglas County Attorney Donald Klein, or Kleiny, he relented to an external review of the incident overseen by a federal prosecutor. A federal judge issued a warrant for Gardner's arrest on Friday on charges of manslaughter, attempted assault. This was a guy who was getting his ass kicked. And he didn't have to, because he was a fucking Marine. So, you know, if I remember correctly, they train Marines to be adept at hand-to-hand combat. Probably more so than Black Lives Matter protesters. Just throwing that out there. Terroristic threats. Now, it doesn't name the judge. It doesn't have to name the judge because I'm pretty sure we know who put the judge in. Gardner had been supposedly planning to turn himself into Omaha police on Monday, but a friend of Gardner reportedly confirmed to the Gateway Pundit that the 38-year-old man committed suicide over the weekend. Gardner's body was found in Portland on Sunday, with his attorney describing his death as a suicide. His lawyer, Stu Dornan, is emphasizing that Gardner's conduct when targeted by the July BLM riot was self-defense and that his actions are not to be taken as an admission of guilt in any capacity. Gardner was a decorated Iraq war veteran who had suffered 2 traumatic brain injuries as a result of his military service. It sounds like the fella got blown up a couple of times. I know some people like this. His death appears to have been clearly the result of highly questionable and dubious criminal charges. The federal prosecutors that usurped the role of local officials to indict Gardner should be held accountable for his tragedy. And that is my point. So, you see it every day here. It's gotten so far out of hand, it's not even funny anymore. It's not even a trope. Does anybody actually listen to the mainstream media? Now, I know I have friends who still watch Fox News, and I'm like, what makes you think Fox News is any different? I've explained this before, but we'll go over it really quick. Soviet Union had control of everything when they were a communist country. They were the Soviet Union. And one of the things they realized, which is what they play on us here all the time, is that there always need to be 2 camps. As a species, we are not harmonious. We are competitive. And in order to be competitive, you have to have an opponent. The Russian news agencies, TASS and Pravda were the 2 big ones. I don't know if there were any more. Not that big a Russia buff. Or a Soviet Union buff, anyway. They had TASS and Pravda, which, if I remember correctly, are Truth and Voice. And what TASS and Pravda were, TASS, Pravda, 2 sides of the same coin. You see, all information that was disseminated to the public had to go through the Ministry of Information. And the Ministry of Information approved what the people could hear. Okay? It's just the way it was. We never had that problem here. We used to have a somewhat free and fair press. It used to be on a competitive model. It's not anymore. It used to be illegal to disseminate propaganda to the people of the United States from any United States corporation. Smith-Mundt Act. Obama loosened the regulations on that. So now, what you've wound up with is TASS and Pravda. Again, this is not a new model or paradigm. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, well, they all took the left side. And I don't know if Rupert Murdoch is still alive, so I don't actually know who owns Fox and its parent companies, because Fox is just a subsidiary. But he said, screw that, I'll take the other side. I'll take the money from those guys, I don't care. You remember, Rupert Murdoch doesn't give a fuck what goes on in this country as long as he makes money. And that's exactly what his job is, to make money. Now, he might not even be alive, but you understand what I'm saying. So when I hear friends say, well, I only listen to Fox because Fox is real news, these include my brother, Captain Corona, by the way, I just look at them and I'm like, I've explained this to you before, right? Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. To come back off the tangent we're on, Kyle Rittenhouse's lawyer is going to have a field day because he was the same one that worked for Sandman, the Covington kid, with the newspapers and everybody just vilified him as an evil white supremacist smirking Nazi Hitler youth child. And it turns out that the kid did nothing wrong. He just stood there because he didn't know what the hell else he was supposed to do while he was being attacked. Yeah, the Indian ran up in his face and started drumming at him. The kid didn't do anything. The news ran with it. The news ran with Kyle Rittenhouse, and at the time, the news ran with this guy too. The difference is, this fellow was already unstable. He already had traumatic brain injuries. Between the judge, Black Lives Matter, which, as we all know, is now an actual real organization. It's not like Antifa, because Antifa is not a real... There's no logistics that goes on with Antifa. Those guys just show up spontaneously like dandelions in spring. All of these people, these organizations, these threats to humanity and your way of life, it's truly what they are. Because remember, could have been you. You could be one of these people who just wants to go home from work. You make a wrong turn and you're surrounded by all of these shitbags. Not Breonna Taylor. Secoria Turner, the 8-year-old girl that got killed in Atlanta because her mom got trapped by these morons and wanted to get out of there and went to make a U-turn to a gas station or a Wendy's or something. And they shot an 8-year-old child. I don't know about you. Apparently your mom wasn't armed, but there's an awful lot of armed people in Arizona. We don't see as much of this. I'm going to assume because we have so many people who are armed, and we're edging towards purple these days because California so completely fucked their own state up that they have to leave. Because they can't have power, and they can't have water, and they can't have anything nice because they were dumb enough to vote in all these hippy-dippy fucking moronic policies of the left, and now it's so expensive you can't afford to friggin' live there. In New York, same thing, you know. But at what point are we going to turn around and hold these people responsible for this gentleman's death? It's completely avoidable. Everything about this said clean shoot until an activist from the bench judge and, what was it, the AG? A federal judge and a federal prosecutor, because they had to bend the knee to Black Lives Matter, the judge, the prosecutor, Black Lives Matter, the organization. Anyone who donates to Black Lives Matter in large amounts, by the way, also responsible for this and should be held accountable for this. Because if I pay you to do a job, and this is the job you do, it tends to come back on me. The guy didn't need to die. The guy went out to defend his dad. This should have never happened in the first place. The other thing he should be doing is suing the fuck out of Nebraska for allowing the rioting to happen. This isn't fucking LA. This isn't... There's no reason for this guy to be dead. None. The guy honorably served his country in a fucking bullshit war. But you know what? He nutted up and he went. He came home and he opened a bar. His livelihood was a bar. And even now, you can't open a bar. You can open a bar restaurant or a gastropub. But God forbid you opened up a straight public house. You'd never be able to get insurance for it. Not to mention you wouldn't be able to afford the liquor license. At least that's how it runs here. There is no reason for this to happen. We have gotten so far around the bend, you should be able to see your own asshole from now. These people need to be taken and brought to heel. So yes, the federal judge needs to be stripped of his position. The federal prosecutor as well, and then they need to be open for civil action. No problems with any of this. This guy's family should wipe out everybody involved here. Everyone. From whatever fucking city it was in Nebraska. Start there, work your way all the way up to the state level, including the governor, who should not be shielded from any of this, because he violated his oath when he failed to protect his citizens. He didn't act in the best interest of the citizenry he was elected to take care of. You elected a shepherd who left the gate open and let the wolves in. And then when the wolves were busy tearing the sheep to shreds, he stood there and applauded, basically. All of these people are culpable. All of these people should be brought up. And when I say, well, everyone who supports Black Lives Matter, everyone who supports the organization of Black Lives Matter, which has come right out and said, hi, we're Marxists, and we're more than willing to take money from, there's chatter going around it's China. There's been chatter going around that it's anti-Semitic to say it was George Soros, but Newt Gingrich did. He jumped right on that shit and they cut him off. It's time. We're at 17, so we'll wrap this up. I will leave you with this thought, just in case you're not one of the people who have realized this yet. No other country in the world has your Constitution. No other country in the world recognizes your God-given right to free speech, self-defense, security in person, papers, and property, not being forced to billet troops. Okay? Not to self-incriminate. That's 5. And you can go on from there. Okay? The most important thing that people constantly overlook is 10. We wrote the Constitution to constrain the size and powers of government. You see, the federal judge should have never been able to step in here. It's outside of his jurisdiction. The gentleman did not commit a federal crime. There are no hate crimes. All crimes are hate crimes. They don't teach you this shit anymore, folks. And Trump came out and he's got, well, I want to do the 1776 project and teach children to love their country. That's not a bad thing, but I got a better one for you, Chief. How about this? How about you institute civics back in fucking school? Okay? How about you start teaching civics in grade school? You make a mandatory class at the end of high school where you once again go in depth into civics, so when they leave high school and they're going out into the world to be proselytized to by these commie fucking shitbags in all these ginormous institutions, that they have buffaloed people into believing they need to take huge debts out so that the kids can come home with purple hair and fucking facial piercings and neck tattoos and tell them, I fucking hate you, Dad, now give me the car keys and some money. No. The problem with teaching your children patriotism is who's in the big chair and decides what patriotism is. You'll learn patriotism. You'll learn to love your country when you learn why your country is special. Ours is the last country on the planet, and if we fold, we will become the next EU. That's why they didn't want England to leave, and Brexit still hasn't gone through. So, something to think about, folks, but you should appreciate what you have here. Because when we go, just like Reagan said, when we go, it's all gone. The guy didn't deserve to fucking die. And the guy didn't deserve to die for any reason, period, the end. He did nothing wrong, and yet people who want to see your country destroyed pushed him right fucking into it. Livid is a word that barely describes how contained my anger is at the moment, but that's because I'm drinking fizzy water, not alcohol. Disrespectful to this poor man that they did this shit to him and then smeared him in the fucking press. Folks, thanks for coming by. New folks, thanks for signing up. I will do some headlines after this because I'd really like to talk about Trump and his 1776 project on top of some of the other stuff that's going on. So I'll see you on the next one. Have a good Monday. Remember, what is it? Rub the rabbit's foot and kiss the shamrock or whatever the fuck it is. Do whatever you need to do because Monday is Murphy's Day. And we all know how Mr. Murphy works. Salute.